Hi. So today we're going to talk about communicating with your artist and kind of which circumstances would be best depending on the information that you're trying to relay or communicate with them. First, I want to say that every tattoo artist is different, every shop is different. So this is just based on my own experience and the things that make sense to me. Um, so take this as kind of a guideline, but definitely check with the artist that you're wanting to work with to see what they prefer as far as communications. We're going to talk about phone calls first. Um, if you are calling a tattoo shop, know that not every shop has someone there designated to answer the phone. We are very fortunate that we have two fantastic shop managers that are trained to answer anything that you should be calling about. If they cannot answer your question, it may be something that you needed to drop in and or email about, and we'll talk about that later. Um, but the things that you want to call the shop for would be very general questions that if your artist is not available, that someone else is going to be able to give you that information. Um, those would be things like the shop hours, the website, maybe an artist booking policy if they're going to be in that day for you to stop in and talk. Um, you know, general things like that. What you might need ahead of your tattoo. Do you need to bring your driver's license? But just general questions. So when we are in the shop, um, generally we are tattooing the entire time. I personally rarely ever stop tattooing someone to take a phone call. It pretty much needs to be an emergency. And if it's not an emergency, but it's made out to be like one, I'm going to be mad. Um, think of it from this perspective. If you are the client in the chair and you're paying for this time, you're getting tattooed, and your artist is every 20 minutes having to stop the process, go take a phone call for 10 or 15 minutes, um, and then come back and start on you again. That's um, that really interferes with your tolerance for your tattoo. That starting and stopping, your body doesn't have a chance to kind of find a rhythm and start producing endorphins that are going to help you out. It just really doesn't work for everybody. Plus, I'm needing to change out gloves every time that I start and stop, and gloves are very expensive. So it's very wasteful. So there's a few reasons why I don't stop to take phone calls. Our shop managers will leave me little post-its, but I'm an artist. The post-its get everywhere. So general questions if you're calling the shop. Do not, please do not call a tattoo shop and ask how much your tattoo is going to be. I don't think that you guys fully understand. Like when you call and you're describing a tattoo to us over the phone, this is just one big game of Pictionary. And 99% of the time, the mental image that we get from your description is not really all that accurate. We need to see it. We need to see it in person. You might be able to get general information about the cost, such as the shop minimum or what the hourly rate is, but you would be surprised on how many phone calls that we get. Like, hey, how much is the sleeve? That is a year's worth of work. I have no idea. I can't even begin to tell you where to start. That's a process that is not going to work out by phone. So keep your phone questions general. Your email questions, those are going to be your little bit more in depth, maybe asking about that specific artist's booking policy, how far they are booked out, um, less general questions and more narrowed down to that artist and what their preferences are, and things like that. So I'll kind of give you an example of where I would need to move from email to having someone come in and talk in person. Say I get an email from a client and they send me like three pictures, and one of those is like, okay, this person wants to do a half sleeve, or like an upper arm piece, and they want to do an angel. So they've sent a reference of a model, and they're like, hey, I really like, this person's aesthetic. I like the facial expression. This is who I would like to use as my reference for the angel. Here's another picture of some wings. I really like the shape of these. I like the way they're shaded. So if we can put those on this model, in a flowy drapey dress, not really particular on that. And here's a third picture of some clouds that I would like to use as the background. Especially if I have worked on that client before, that is perfect. There's probably going to need to be very little additional communication. Like I feel like I've got that. We may have some minor changes as we get close to the appointment that we need to adjust, but that's totally fine. So here's where it would need to move to a consultation. If someone has emailed me about the same project, but maybe they have a couple of different models that they want to use to reference. They like, the eyes of one, the face shape of the other. They're not really sure if they want this angel to be kneeling or standing. They have a few different pictures of wings. Maybe like they like the shape of one photo, um, but the shading of another. And they're not really sure about the background because they have a piece already that they would like to tie this in with. That's probably a scenario where I would move from email to having that person come in for a quick consultation because that is about 80 emails right there, back and forth, trying to figure out, okay, so what exactly do you like and dislike about each particular photo? Um, in person, I can whittle that down to about 15 minutes. By email, that is going to be a tremendous amount of back and forth that neither of us probably have the time for. So, the things that are kind of up in the air, uncertain things, especially if you are tying into existing pieces or cover ups, those are going to be things that I'm probably going to have you drop in person so we can sit and talk for a few minutes. And I can get really in depth information without a million emails going back and forth. So, those are a few scenarios in which I think different communication works better for different things. So I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you next week for a new video. Bye.